Muslim polity in general. So that is the overview of Aurangzeb that exists. Then, but why do they behave so with a historical figure? That is a question, right? So there was a statement by the founder of Hindu nationalism and ironically Indian nationalism as well, and you can say Indian polity as well. That also includes the polity of Muslim League. That happens to be Bal Gangadhar Tilak. He said that he demonized Aurangzeb so as to contrast him with Akbar, or to contrast him with local to with the people that he wanted to he make heroes at one point of time in his polity. However, he could not live long enough to cover up that fact, to basically layer it on with the lionization of Aurangzeb that he was also about to do. This is a historical statement by none other than Bal Gangadhar Tilak. So there is that as well. So the demonization of Aurangzeb is not genuine. That is being done by the right wing. At the same time, the lionization that is being done by Muslim polity in the subcontinent is also not correct, because many of the things that Aurangzeb did was un-Islamic. Many of the things that Aurangzeb did was to the detriment of the Muslims. Many of the people that he promoted and brought into India later became the reason for the fall of the Mughal Empire, and in a way the greatest Islamic uh, uh, political entity in the history of India, which ultimately led to many of the things that many of the Muslims also don't remember fondly, and many of the Hindus also don't remember fondly. So we should be doing a more character analysis of Aurangzeb, because if we are going to make it a Maratha versus the Mughals, or a Rajput versus Mughals, or this versus that, then it is not right. Aurangzeb also has, for example, there was a woman who was abducted by one of his uncles, and it was a Hindu woman who was abducted by one of his uncles, and he punished one of his uncles who was a kotwal in Delhi, and he was a very high positioned person in Delhi, uh, just for abducting a very average commoner. That you do not see in his that you do not see usually with the kind of narratives that go around with Aurangzeb. He is identified as a man who had oppressed the Hindus, may or may not, who has oppressed the Hindus and basically violated Hindu women. That has never happened actually. There is no history of Aurangzeb ever violating Hindu women, or ever promoting any such thing. But somehow, as we all know, this narrative goes on in the Indian nationalists, within the Indian nationalists, that Aurangzeb somehow has done this. This Another narrative that goes is that Aurangzeb was the one who had established Islam, and Aurangzeb was the one who had established Islam, and he was a conqueror. No, absolutely, he was not a conqueror. His father was a conqueror. Yes, his father was a great general. Aurangzeb has had many military failures. In fact, many of the things that his father did with quite an ease, he struggled with it as far as military campaigns are concerned. Uh, Aurangzeb also is identified as, he's also synonymous with anti-nationalism. But how can you be anti-national if literally if the south of India exists as India because of Aurangzeb? Because without Aurangzeb's Deccan campaigns, South India would have been a completely different political thing. Without the Deccan campaigns of Aurangzeb, in which he absorbed the Deccan Sultanate, Ahmednagar Sultanate, Bijapur Sultanate, Golconda Sultanate, and I guess there was another Sultanate, or possibly they had already dissolved by that time. So without the absorption of these sultanates, which were the actual rivals, which were the actual people whom he was going against, without including them in India, you would not be including South India in India. So in a way, he did expand India. In a way, today, if South India is India, it is because of Aurangzeb. Shah Jahan also had done some campaigns in the south, and they were quite successful. For example, in Ahmednagar, uh, also in Bijapur. You also find campaigns in north, and they were you can argue on the the on how long that those campaigns and the effects of those campaigns lasted. But still, if because usually Aurangzeb is a much criticized, and I'm going by the popular narrative here, that Aurangzeb is a much criticized figure, and if we are going to, we should always remember this, that it is because of Aurangzeb that we today have South of India. So we should not go overboard with the criticism, and we should be more historical and factual in its criticism instead of emotional, because we have to tow a stream of ideology or stream of politics.
Okay, cool. Thanks for your initial thoughts, Yash, and let's just develop on that. I think it's time we should like basically look at how he came into power in a bit more greater detail. And with that, I'll just pass the mic on to Paritosh. I think he was beginning to do that when he became a bit busy. So I actually waited. I thought he should be the one doing it because he's the one who began. So Paritosh, go ahead. Please explain in terms of what was the condition of the entire Indian diaspora at that time, in your opinion, and what I think there are two narratives, like Yash has already explained. There are those who basically think that Aurangzeb was a savior of Islam, and then there are those who think that he was a complete tyrant and he was a Hindu hater. So, Paritosh, go ahead, uh, and I'll just
Yeah.
read them.
So again, going by the title, that was Aurangzeb, Great or Tyrant. I mentioned it in the room chat as well, and I would like to say he wasn't exactly what you call a tyrant, like Timur or something, but he wasn't great either, like you call Akbar or Ashoka. So I don't think he was great because, see, expanding your armies and expanding your regions militarily for a very short amount of time, like even what the Tughlaqs did, or what, that does not makes you a great emperor, right? It makes you great when you build stable empires, like what, like Yash Bhaiya told that Shah Jahan was better than him, or there are other emperors, there have been other rulers who have built more stable and more long-lasting empires, even though they were not that much expanded as his territory. But you need to build. So if you want to be remembered as a savior of culture, or let's say savior of religion and those things, you need to have, you know, you need to be the one who had introduced stable systems. Aurangzeb was the one who destroyed the entire stability of the Indian, what will you call the Indian polity, let's say, at that point of time, which was being there. So even after that, you can say that there were multiple invasions. The India, Delhi specifically, could not withstand the Ranis. Delhi could not withstand Nadir Shah because uh, the old guard that Mughals had in form of their Rajput allies or their other allies, they had no longer trust in Delhi after Aurangzeb's reign ended, right? So I think, Yash Bhaiya would be better, like he would explain it better. But what my opinion on this is, even though the state that I come from, we had very good relations with Aurangzeb, and we got a lot of, grants and everything when Aurangzeb was ruling in Delhi. So I can be someone who can have some soft corner for that person, but I do not, because he put the entire country and the entire region of this into turmoil. And he also, I don't think, because the replays are on, I cannot be very categorical about it, but he did, uh, out of a certain, we can say, paranoia against certain classes, specifically the Rajputs and the Persians, he made the other classes, uh, who were earlier the part of the peasantry, he made them into nobles, which, you can say, that is the thing that caused destability in the region after he died. So I think, if Yash Bhaiya wants to expand on this, he can go and he can tell. But these are my opening points on the topic, and we can discuss it as it unfolds.
Can I say something?
Yeah, yeah, go ahead, Shikha.
So you asked about the circumstances in which Aurangzeb came to power and what were the forces at that time in Deccan and all that. So I'd like to expand on that. So by the time we came to
And
the
quote
fag
your
end of,
sources, Sri Ram, and quote your sources too. Whatever you know mention here, quote your sources too.
okay, I'll first make the claim and then I'll
Sure, sure,
surely corroborate
sure,
it with the
sure.
sources. So by the time we came to the end of Shah Jahan's reign, uh, Deccan originally had five sultanates. So the big Bahman Empire had broken into five different kingdoms, and Ahmednagar, Bijapur, Berar, Bidar, and Golconda. These five. So among these five, only three remained. The other two were annexed by another two. Like Berar was annexed by Ahmednagar, and Bidar was annexed by Bijapur. So you had only three sultanates at that time: uh, Ahmednagar, Bijapur, and Golconda. And it so happened that during Shah Jahan's time itself, Ahmednagar was annexed into Mughal Empire. So this was something that was ongoing, and there was a big conflict with Golconda as well as Bijapur also during the time of Shah Jahan itself. And Shah Jahan's sons, who had major stakes in the political game, four sons we recollect. The eldest Dara Shikoh, he was posted in Punjab and Lahore, that region. Then his second son, I think Shah Shuja. Shah Shuja was posted in Bengal. Then third son was Aurangzeb. He was posted in the Deccan, and he was the one who actually led these Deccan campaigns, and he was the one who got credit for annexing Ahmednagar. And the fourth son, the youngest of them, he was what was his name? I forgot. Murad Baksh, no, I think. Was that his name? Murad Baksh, I think. Murad Baksh was
Yeah,
posted in
Murad
Gujarat.
Murad,
Yeah,
Yeah,
Murad.
yeah.
Right.
Murad.
So this was the setup at the end of Shah Jahan's reign. Aurangzeb in Deccan, the other three sons in the other three corners of India, Mughal Empire, and then Aurangzeb was the one who got credit because he annexed Ahmednagar and he had experience in Deccan, and the remaining two also, whatever territorial expansion was left, that was there for them only in Deccan only, the scope for that. So but there's a flip side to it. We generally say that those who were posted in Deccan, like only the worst of the lot were posted in Deccan, because Mughals had no interest into expanding into the south, because the previous empire which was there, Delhi Sultanate, whenever they ventured into the south, they saw reversals, and it was always a waste of money. And that's the reason they say that uh, like if you are not in, if you don't have high opinion of someone, you post them into Deccan, like that. So there's this kind of reputation also about being getting posted in Deccan. Okay, anyways. So Aurangzeb took help of his other two brothers to somehow defeat and kill Dara Shikoh, and he backstabs them also. Ultimately, I think it was first the youngest one.
Shri Ram, sorry for the interjection. What was his contention with Dara Shikoh apart from a session? What was that character like? Because that character is brought up very, very, very commonly. Go ahead, Shri.
Dara Shikoh is said to be the favorite son of Shah Jahan, and Punjab was always the richest in terms of income and taxes for the Mughal Empire, and that's where he was posted. And whoever is posted in Punjab next becomes the heir to the Mughal throne. That was the reputation. So, and we say Shah Jahan always wanted Dara Shikoh only to be the heir, and he even sent his contingent to fight for Dara Shikoh when Aurangzeb and the last guy Murad Baksh, when they were fighting him, they say Shah Jahan sent his own contingent to fight for Dara Shikoh, like that. So what were the ideological things or what were things he claimed? I don't know. I don't want to bring them up because these become religious. Dara Shikoh is usually liked by Hindus. We say Dara Shikoh was well versed in Sanskrit. He was engaged in translation of Upanishads and these kinds of Hindu scriptures into Persian and all that. Whereas Aurangzeb, on the other hand, he was a very Puritan Muslim. He hated all kinds of these things like non-Islamic elements. He even banned court biographers. You know, the source for Aurangzeb and his reign, his history, it was written by someone called Kafi Khan, who had secretly written it, Kitab al-Labab. That's the source for his history, and it's not as clear compared to the other three, Jahangir, Shah Jahan, and Akbar. The whatever the how his court happened and all that about Aurangzeb, it's not that well known because he banned it. He banned music also from the Mughal court. He banned dance. He banned everything. Mughal Darbar used to celebrate Diwali grandly. Mughal Darbar used to celebrate Holi grandly. He banned all of that, and he gave with state money. He appointed certain qazis to do Islamic preaching. Uh, I think they were called mutwasibs or something like that. So there was an very strong Islamic element in Aurangzeb, no doubt. You cannot deny it. So
When Aurangzeb basically had his first contention in as you know, Dara Shikoh was basically the crown prince, and in the Delhi mosque, it is quite known by various historians. Some British historians have pointed that out as well, and it is also mentioned in other places that there was a thing called Deen Ilahi, which was brought in by Shah Jahan to begin with, but that had expanded into everything and everyone being the same. So one of the aspects was that Dara Shikoh was basically expanding upon that, and a lot of Muslims at that time basically had a contention when, for instance, there are documented occasions when Dara Shikoh went for Juma prayers with idols printed on his clothes from Hindu religious background. And that is has been narrated by various people, and that was in itself beginning of a rift where some people have also made this statement that before Aurangzeb's time, you can say that the Mughal style of rule was almost like plural in what you would say in modern terms, and everyone was kind of accepted and part and parcel of the same thing. With Aurangzeb, it was basically contended, and there is also one of his first farmans, which basically indicates a background in regards to that. It clearly states that yes, there is a difference. Everyone should be protected in their own way. I'm not saying he did protect, I'm just talking about a particular farman over here. I am in no way saying at this stage, at least, that that is what he carried out throughout his kingdom, and he was able to do justice to it or not. That we can like expand on later on as the room progresses. But he pointed out clearly that there is a difference between Muslims and Hindus and other religions, and you can basically be tolerant and live with distinguished rules rather than mixing everything together. So that's the other side of the thing. Shri Ram, you may continue. Continue. You were speaking. Sorry, I
mm,
interjected.
there are certain flip points to what you said as well.
Yeah, yeah.
So
You bring them up.
even though we say that from Akbar to Shah Jahan's time, Mughal Darbar became more plural, or that they started celebrating Diwali or Holi, or they were translating Hindu scriptures officially. All of that. Even then, the number of Hindus or percentage of Hindus who were directly holding a position under the Mughal throne was actually lesser under them, and it actually grew to the highest point under the reign of Aurangzeb only. So, in fact, Maratha recruitment by the Mughals also was at its peak. So these kind of things are not that much discussed. And what I heard, I don't know the source, but because Aurangzeb so strictly levied jizya, he also provided pilgrims and temples with some sort of protection force. Because those days there used to be raiders and looters and all. thugs and all that. No, right now we don't have, but that time it was there, and he commissioned such people also. So it's both sides are there. It's not as if it's completely one sided, but definitely a strong Islamic fundamentalist element you cannot deny in Aurangzeb. And the yeah, so about Aurangzeb and his reign, what is cited as like as the conflict between his brothers and all, like I don't know if we should really credit it to religion or ideology. It's just about who gets thrown next. He killed all of those who helped him in assassinating Dara Shikoh finally. So it's clear
Shri,
he wants the throne. Those
Sriram,
who helped him under the
Sriram,
This is
Islam also, he killed them also.
Sriram, you see how did Jahangir became the king? He killed his brother, right?
Jahangir even killed his elder son during the
Yeah,
lifetime
so
of
he
Akbar.
killed his brother.
Even
So
blinded his own
it
son.
appears that the Mongols and the Mughals are essentially part of the same cultural tradition. They have normally been like the sons actually get into a kind of a these kind of it's like cultural. It has nothing to do with the religion. It is not the religion which is teaching them. It is what kings have been doing. The princes get into a war. It's a fight of accession, and whoever wins, they take up the throne. So what happened with Dara Shikoh has had happened earlier also, and it's just that Aurangzeb is being judged because a lot of history that we know about Aurangzeb comes from, say, the Britishers who were also visiting his courts, and they got to know कि अरे अपने भाई को मार दिया, he killed his brother. And this is something that has been part of, say, a Mongol culture for a while. I mean, if you look at the history of monarchy, patricide and killing of brothers have been part of almost all of the monarchy. If you look at the history,
mm, Mughals
या
did not have the
प्रशांत
concept of
आई वुड
primogeniture.
मैं
Mughals did
एक
not
चीज
have
ऐड
the
करूंगी.
concept of primogeniture where the eldest brother would be the standard heir to the throne. So usually after during any kind of succession, the possibility of succession, the contest between the brothers would always ensue, and it would lead to the brothers, sometimes and most of the times actually killing each other for the throne. So So this does not give you an excuse for your own, liberal worldviews here, right?
what is the liberal worldview? I mean, this
You're
you
you're
I
providing a
you
liberal
can think
worldview.
of
We are
kings.
discussing a
Kings have
historical
been
topic. You're
behaving
giving a
like this.
political agenda.
Arre Baba, but monarchies have been behaving like this. I can
Absolutely,
go back
absolutely.
to as long as say
Just like how
Bimbisar and
democracies have done.
Ajat Shatru. I mean, those
Arey,
are the
arey, Karthik,
examples of
बिल्कुल.
patricide. The
Yes,
monarchies have
you can
been,
also find Indira Gandhi dying, and you can also find Sanjay Gandhi dying, and you can also you
yeah, but
can lay claim on
that's
many
not
other
an
things.
example. That's
How
not a
how Sachin,
comparable example.
how Rajesh
I'm
Pilot
saying it is
died,
essentially part of a
and
tradition.
how Rajesh Pilot died, and how Mother of India died. Right.
It's not only that. You can go as
Hmm.
back as
How Deen
the
Dayal
Mongols.
Upadhyay died.
Mongols also used to have the same tradition. The
Yes,
Mughals are coming
but
from the same Mongols.
that is not the point,
They are
right?
they are
Or
following the
even
same
how
culture.
Zia-ul-Haq died, right? Or even or
But
how
what's an
Zia-ul-Haq died.
aberration? Why would
Yes,
it happen during the Jahangir's time and Aurangzeb's time?
या मैं यहाँ
I'm
पे एक
not.
चीज ऐड करूँ. एक सेकंड यशस्वी, एक सेकंड. प्रशांत, यू हैव टू एडमिट वन थिंग दैट भाइयों का तो ठीक है, दैट वाज नॉर्मल in Mughal era,
Exactly, that's what I'm saying.
but what he did to his, yeah, what he did to his father was a bit like even the religious leaders in Mecca did not accept him as a leader for what he did to his father. एंड उसके फादर के जो काजी थे उससे पहले, उसका नाम मुझे याद नहीं है, उसने भी उसको वो करने से रिफ्यूज कर दिया था. तो उसके बाद औरंगजेब had to bring another qazi, Abdul Wahab, who gave him the blessings. So that was kind of problematic, but the brother
But
things, that was very common among the Mughal emperors, because according to their rule, all the brothers were equally eligible to rule.
absolutely. So there
अच्छा
you
एक
can have
एक
an
चीज
OP.
मैं यहाँ पे और ऐड करना चाहता हूँ. देयर इज अ काउंटर नैरेटिव टू एवरीथिंग व्हिच हैज बीन सेड ओवर हियर एज वेल. अब हिस्ट्री के अंदर वेरियस अकाउंट्स हैं and it's interesting who says it. So some historians basically who were pro Aurangzeb have basically come to a statement. It is true कि उसने काजी को remove किया, he removed qazis and he removed certain people, but they have made a claim that Aurangzeb never ever imprisoned his actual his father. His father was suffering from old age and whatnot, and there was a lot of conspiracy going on around, and due to that, he basically uh, enclosed him, and he made sure that the conspiring people would not get near him. So that is the openly taught narrative when it comes to a lot of Muslims in various forms. Recently, this statement was made in the Deoband Madrasa in India. अगेन सो अब उसके अंदर काजीज का रिप्लेसमेंट वो इस नजर से देखते हैं कि those qazis were removed due to the fact that they were very pro Deen Ilahi, and they were pro Dara Sikhu because that's where the religion had gone. And it would not be incorrect to state कि उस time की जो Islamic clergy थी in this particular region and beyond, they had huge issues with what was happening in terms of how Islam was being taught in the subcontinent under this ruling and दीन इलाही. फिर इसके अंदर एक और एस्पेक्ट उस साइड से ये वाला भी आता है that also comes into play. अच्छा, none of what we're saying is what यहाँ पे कि एक narrative को हम इस वक्त दूसरे narrative पे डाल रहे हैं. We're just bringing all the stories together, and then we can basically do the deductive reasoning later, I guess. ठीक है. अब उसके अंदर एक और aspect इसका ये भी आता है as a product. What is the religious legacy of Aurangzeb? औरंगजेब के बाद आपको फतवा आलमगीरी मिलता है. फिर जो मक्का के अंदर for 7 years he was not accepted as a ruler. उसकी डिग्री और various चीजें like Medusa pointed out. But again, this was the same time period जिस टाइम के ऊपर मक्का के अंदर वैसे ही रिबेलियन चल रहा था against Abdul Wahab and the Salafis coming into power. And because Aurangzeb believed in the Hanafi stroke Sufi school of thought, which was basically practiced by the Ottomans, that's where he was basically getting his allegiances from. So I think we need to put everything into context. There was global politics occurring at that time as well. So there's another thing. Each time Aurangzeb was asked about what he's done to his father, um, he would not talk about it. He would not admit to the fact. He actually never admitted to the fact that he actually imprisoned him.
यार
So
इसका
But
एक
he
और
never consent
रीजन ये भी है
consented.
ना कि वो नेशनल ट्रेजरी ना यूज कर रहा था फ्रिवलस कंस्ट्रक्शंस में. दैट इज आल्सो द रीजन दैट ही
नहीं
वाज
नहीं नहीं,
अगेंस्ट.
these are mostly
वन ऑफ द
excuses. These are excuses. These are not reasons. These are excuses given by modern the apologists of Aurangzeb.
और औरंगजेब का बेटा जो था वो भी वही किया, मतलब
The
वो भी
greatest
उसके
sin that
ओल्ड एज में.
Aurangzeb did was actually go against his father, because that is essentially un-Islamic. That is almost blasphemy. If you're committing treason against your father and your emperor, just because you have found an excuse because he has gone ill for some time, and then you house arrest him, that itself is absolutely against Islam. औरंगजेब चलो उनकी उनकी जो रिलीजियस इंक्लिनेशन थी वो भी कैसे बनती हैं और ये किस तरीके से सेक्टेरियन गेम्स खेलते हैं वो बाद में डिस्कस करेंगे, है ना. विद इन दी सूफी ऑर्डर वो बाद में डिस्कस करेंगे, है ना, कि कौन सी लीनिएज के साथ उन्होंने पेट्रोनेज पकड़ी थी जब उनको कहीं पे जगह नहीं मिली थी. दैट इज अ डिफरेंट थिंग.
I'll just speak for another 2 minutes. I'll conclude. So we were speaking about annexion of Deccan Sultanates and expansion of Mughal Empire into the south. So before this, those ruling at Delhi coming down to the south happened only twice. Once under Alauddin Khalji's time, when Malik Kafur won right up to Madurai, up to Rameshwaram, we say his forces reached. That was once, and another time when Muhammad bin Tughlaq, he came and annexed up to Pandyan Empire. There was direct rule of Delhi Sultanate. When Malik Kafur came, they annexed only Kakatiya and Hoysala, only up to only Kakatiya and Devagiri. They did not annex Hoysala and Pandya. Whereas when Muhammad Tughlaq came down to the south, it was within a brief span only of 30-40 years that these two happened. He annexed right up to Rameshwaram. So whole of India, you can say, almost was under Delhi Sultanate at that time. But the consequences were disastrous. After Muhammad bin Tughlaq died, within 30-40 years after his death, you see the map of Delhi Sultanate, how small it became. The Saids were ruling nothing just from Delhi to Delhi outskirts. That was their territory. Delhi Sultanate got wiped out. So venturing into the south was always dangerous. It was a red zone for them. Somebody here said they came down to the south. That's why we have southern India as part of India today. I don't know how true that is, because see, firstly, within south also, the Hindu polity was very strong until the Battle of Tallikota happened, because Vijayanagara was there, and then you had a lot of small kingdoms also allied with them. So even some of them, those who were opposed to them, were still very staunchly Hindu. So after the Battle of Tallikota, there was a slightly upper hand. It was not a shattering, ground shattering moment also, but some sort of Hindu polity and strength was there in the south. What Aurangzeb did, he annexed the other two remaining sultanates which I mentioned, Bijapur and Golconda. Not only that, he came down right up to Kaveri River, up to Tiruchirappalli in Tamil Nadu. He annexed that much of territory. We say he annexed this territory in Tamil Nadu just so that he could hunt for Raja Ram, the second son of Shivaji Maharaj. So he had already killed first son of Shivaji Maharaj, Shambhaji, and he was trying to go after the second son. And we say he came down and he annexed right up to Tiruchirappalli with this intent. And we know what happened to Mughal Empire shortly within 20 years of Aurangzeb's death. Within 20 years of Aurangzeb's death, nowhere this territory was controlled by Mughal Empire. Not even 20 years, even 10 years. All of them either broke away or they were annexed by the Marathas. You have the Nizams of Hyderabad. Nizams of Hyderabad were basically governors. Asabja. Asabja was the representative of
General.
Hyderabad, Golconda, Aurangabad, this region in Delhi to the Mughal Darbar. And this guy broke away. Then you have but this gave a big impetus to the Muslim polity in South India. What was 70-80% Hindu and 20-30% Muslim, it became reverse. You had majority Muslim control in South India. You had Arcot Nawab in Tamil Nadu and a bit coastal Tamil Nadu, that area. Then you had Nizam. Nizam was ruling almost Marathwada, entire Telangana, Andhra Pradesh, this whole area. It was under Nizam at that time. Of course, later on he gifted Andhra Pradesh to British company. I mean, it was French first, and then it went to British, like that. Okay, did it contribute anything? I don't think so. It never contributed anything as far as unity of India goes. It was just
No, no,
broken
no.
politics.
I did not mean the
Chess
unity of
game
India.
continued.
The rule in Delhi and the Britishers have considered themselves to be the successors to the Mughals, right? The Brits have considered themselves to be successors to the Mughals, and even the Congress has, considered itself to be the successors to the Mughals, has it not? So in that sense, because it is a continuation of the power at Delhi, and I'm not talking about the unity of Hindus. I'm talking about the unity as is the whole of the state, which was because the British also took power after they got the regency to the Mughal throne, right?
So should we credit the British instead of Aurangzeb? Eventually,
No,
the British
the,
got over. They
the
started from South India, captured the South India, and then Bengal.
they did not start from South
If
India, but they
Aurangzeb,
started from East India. But if you
But anyways, my
but the
point was
room is
that
about Aurangzeb, right? The room is
My
about Aurangzeb.
my point was that his further expansion was what led to further defragmentation also of
Yes,
Indian
yes,
polity. That
absolutely.
was my point.
Internal defragmentation did happen. Internal defragmentation did happen, but his territorial claims over the south did, in modern continuity, bring about a political, you can say, at least claims. At least the claims were first made, were in the modern continuity only made by Aurangzeb. The Britishers would also include, Myanmar. The Britishers would also include some parts of like eastern parts of Afghanistan, and they would also include Balochistan. But those were not. That is not how we today perceive India, right? Or even the subcontinent, for that matter.
Can I come in?
I'll just conclude. So this further defragmentation and these people, Nizam of Hyderabad and Arcot Nawab, these were the first people who brought French and British East India companies to fight for them. They are the ones who indulge them into their internal politics first. A lot of people think that it happened in Bengal, Battle of Plassey and all. It happened even before that, Battle of Carnatic, first Battle of Carnatic, second like that. You can just read about it. So this was one thing, and also something about how unpopular Aurangzeb was among common people because of his continuous warfare everywhere. He used to charge people like hell, I mean taxes, and because to sustain that kind of warfare you have to tax people like that. And he came into conflict with a lot of communities in India. So the Jats, the Rajputs, also to some extent the Sikhs, the Marathas, Kunbi Marathas especially, the conflict was, you can say it was a mass level conflict on some. I think Shahjah was saying that, oh, if people start raiding your government and your empire, won't we call them luteras or this thing and all. They, Marathas were the feudal lords over there, irrespective of whichever empire was there, be it Bijapur was there or Bahman was there or Ahmednagar was there, whatever. They were the ruling class at the village level, and they, when they decided to form their own polity, like even among them, the first people who were the target of Shivaji were his own people, right? Fellow Marathas, those who were loyal to the sultanates, those who were loyal to Bijapur Sultanate and all. So it's not as if that some civilians started coming and attacking other civilians. They were already the feudal lords, they were already the power holders there, and they wanted their own Swaraj, their own Raj, like that. Because historically they never had their own kingdom, they worked for various empires during different points of time, like that. So that, and then yeah, about how unpopular he was, how he brought in conflict with so many communities. He even had fights with his own children, right? One of his sons, Akbar, they say, wherever he ventured, Aurangzeb used to go and raid those places, or he used to have so much of doubt. He never, we say he never trusted anyone. He killed so many people just on on his suspicion of them working for his own son, like that. So these things are also to be spoken about. How insecure he was, how many his own people he killed, how he broke so many alliances. I think the conflict with Rajputs began with this Akbar only, right? Prince Akbar, if I'm not wrong.
No, no, no. The
Someone,
conflict with the Rajputs, it began with the death of Jaswant Singh. He wanted to, yes, he wanted to basically establish Islamic rule in Marwar, and he also denied the succession rights to Ajit Singh, the son of Jaswant Singh. And the other son also died during under suspicious conditions, as suspected by the Marwar court, poisoned by Aurangzeb only. And even Jaswant Singh was also said to have been poisoned by Aurangzeb only, on the orders of Aurangzeb only.
hmm. And finally, you find that Mughal Empire never stood after his death. It had a grand crumble, completely got destroyed. All these Awadh Nawab or Bengal Nawab and all, they were basically feudatories only, right? Everybody
He
broke away.
also had a fight with his wives. There's a great eyewitness account of this by Nicola Manushi, where the wife says that whatever you're doing is absolutely stupid, and you will bring ruin to our whole family, and that is exactly what he did.
Aurangzeb is often considered to be the one to bring downfall to the Mughal Empire.
Yes.
And I guess
Mm.
Yashvi, he was also the
After
one to bring
the biggest
Deoband in
beneficiaries
India.
were also these communities only, which I mentioned, except for the Rajputs. The other three were the biggest beneficiaries. Marathas were the biggest beneficiaries. Next biggest were the Jats. A lot of areas around Delhi and all, they were captured by the Jats. Then the Sikhs also to some extent.
Can I speak? Can I come?
Yeah, go ahead, Grish.
Yeah,
Carry on.
Shadi, you see, I don't know why many people in this room, they were sounding like Audrey Toshki. The secularization of Aurangzeb has been going on for a long time. By all accounts, historical records and documents, Aurangzeb was the most cruel among all the Mughal emperors, more cruel than even Shah Jahan. The things he did to his own kith and kins, his brothers, his father. Apart from that, he carried out large scale atrocities against Hindu community. As per one estimate, obviously everything is estimation. He killed more than 4 million Hindus. He destroyed many temples. The attack on the Hindu holy city of Banaras, the Mathura, the Gobind Dev temple was cut in half, right? That temple was built by Man Singh. He was general of Akbar. You know, he killed many people there. The attack on Pandharpur temple, the things he did to Sikh gurus, the Somnath temple, many temples he destroyed. So to say that he was, and obviously, he was also a Puritan. He was a very religious man. He banned the music and other festivity that used to happen in Mughal Empire. Even though the harem thing, besides his romance with Zainabadi, there is nothing much we hear during his tenure. So he was, by all accounts, he was a bigot. And I don't know why people are trying to portray him as some kind of, somebody who has been misunderstood. I don't think so. I think he was a bigot and we have to accept that.
आपने बोल दिया, हमने
First
एक्सेप्ट
of
कर
all,
लिया, आगे बढ़े।
yes.
I think, hey, can I just make a comment real quick? Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I was saying that first of all, nobody is trying to paint anyone as a hero or as a villain in here. People are just giving their opinions about Aurangzeb, whether he was a tyrant or a great emperor or whatever. So, you made your point that he is not a hero in your opinion. Let other people also tell what they think about Aurangzeb. We are taking everybody's submissions in here. So, like, you may agree or not agree to other people's opinions. You made your point, so there's no use of calling out other people on having an opinion.
And
Okay,
Xavier,
Grish, just a quick question. Like you mentioned that he attacked temples and things like that. So why did he attack those temples? Do you have any idea? Was he just an evil man that he decided to attack temples? But then we see in other accounts that he commissioned and provided security to other temples. Why did he hate those particular Hindus whose temples he destroyed? What exactly was going on those occasions, Krish?
No, I
And
don't know.
share the
I think,
historical
in case of this,
records.
no, in case of this Gobind Dev temple in Mathura, I think, he used to see some light in the sky, and people used to say it used to come from that area, and then he decided that he should go and destroy that temple, something like that. I mean, I don't know.
So
May-
you don't know then
Krish,
why are you speaking here?
exactly, Krish. How did you conclude?
no,
I'll
I
tell
mean,
you what
obviously,
happened in
obviously,
the.
there must
Be
be no,
clarified.
there must be
Krish,
many reasons
Krish.
why he would do that.
No, no. So, Krish,
Why his generals
Krish,
attacked Somnath? Maybe they
I
looted the
So
money.
what are your
You
sources?
know,
Share the sources, Girish.
all
And
the
you can,
sources
of
are
course,
there, Aditya. Yaar, you, it's all there.
again,
You go
Girish,
and
the
read,
thing
yeah.
is
man.
that here's the thing. You know what the problem is going on? Whenever we talk about a person who is, we can say, either a politician or a king or anyone, right? They're not going to be like pure or pure evil or pure good. That's not going to happen. You take, especially like, I mean, especially in Indian politics. And like when we're talking about like any king, any king, any nawab, any raja, like think about anyone even in Lahore, right? If you, I forgot the name of that person. I think who that person was who made the mosque into a stable. I can't remember his name, right? Like the one who made Badshahi Mosque into a stable. There are still a lot of Muslims who still respect that guy, like Lahori people or Punjabi people. Some of them because they think that was a political move, not a religious hateful move. Same thing goes here too. You gotta understand what we're trying to talk about. Yes, he was evil, of course. There's no one like saying that he was completely 100% good. But how evil was he? Or let's say if someone is thinking that he was good, how good was he? Was he like like a saint, or was he like we can say a devil? Well, but if you're trying to portray him as a devil, at least have some sources. You said he
And
killed
No,
all,
four million.
no, all these
what
are
I
You
said,
said
I
innocent
said he was the most cruel among all the Mughal emperors.
yeah, but again,
The
like
the
what's
last Mughal emperor Bahadur Shah Jafar was a good man. I would
no,
say
no,
that.
but
Even
Girish,
Akbar to that
again,
extent.
what's your source? You said he killed 4 million Hindus.
what
What's
are
the
your
source for
sources? Yes,
that?
exactly.
No,
The
it's there.
historical
It's
sources.
all the historical records. You have to go through that.
What sources? So you made a
Everything is there,
blanket
man. आदित्य
statement,
अभी मैं क्या
Girish.
दूं, एक एक करके दूं,
हाँ, you
सभी
made a
रिकॉर्ड्स मिल
blanket
Okay,
जाएंगे
चलिए
statement.
आपको.
example देता हूँ आपको.
नहीं नहीं,
Look,
पंढरपुर का देख लीजिए आप, मथुरा का देख लीजिए आप,
but here's the
नहीं,
वाराणसी
उसका
का रिकॉर्ड्स है,
हिस्टोरिकल
Gir-
रिकॉर्ड बताओ
उसके
ना.
जनरल ने क्या.
हिस्टोरिकल
Girish,
रिकॉर्ड
think
बताओ
about
इसका.
this.
गिरीश भाई,
Think about
अगर आप
Holocaust. Hold on a second.
अगर आप
शिव
बस
शिव
एक
Girish,
बखर
लिंक
पढ़
दे
लो आप.
देना,
शिव बखर नाम
एक
के
छोटा
टेक्स्ट
सा
है.
लिंक तो हो
शिव बखर
जाएगा।
नाम से टेक्स्ट है, वो पढ़ लो आप. उसमें रिकॉर्ड्स है.
कौन सी बुक है?
शिव बखर नाम से रहेगा एक गूगल पे. शिव
शिव
बखर,
बकर.
उसमें पूरा हिस्ट्री है औरंगजेब का. जो दक्कन में आया था ना, उसके बाद का पूरा हिस्ट्री है उसका.
एक सेकंड यार, पता है क्या बात ये है कि ये बात कोई डिनाई नहीं करेगा कि द टेम्पल्स वर डिस्ट्रॉयड, लेकिन हर चीज का कोई रीजन होता है. एक तरफ एक एक ही आदमी है, वो टेम्पल्स को डिस्ट्रॉय कर रहा है, और दूसरी तरफ वो बना भी रहा है. एक तरफ वो उनको अटैक कर रहा है, दूसरी तरफ वो सिक्योरिटी प्रोवाइड कर रहा है. व्हाई व्हाई इज दैट सो? यहाँ पे सोर्स इस चीज का होना चाहिए अगर हम वाकई इसके अंदर घुसना चाहते हैं. इफ वी वांट टू मेक अ जजमेंट कि क्या वो एक उस क्रूल था, या वो जस्टिफाइड था, या वो अनजस्टिफाइड था, वाज ही अ टायरेंट और वाज ही अ नॉट, will not be defined by the event itself. I understand it's a religious thing, लेकिन इस तरह की तो बहुत चीजें हुई हैं. अभी रिसेंट टाइम्स के अंदर पाकिस्तान में लाल मस्जिद थी, उसके ऊपर वेरियस ओपिनियंस हैं. लोगों ने जब उस पे अटैक आर्मी ने किया, ठीक है, उसके अंदर से असला बरामद हुआ, वेरियस और चीजें, बट पीपल हैव डिफरेंट ओपिनियंस इन रिगार्ड्स टू दैट, राइट? And official narratives can sometimes be differentiating from communal narratives, or how the communities of a certain belief or ethnicity might view that. So in those lights, the more important question is, and it is to Grish, why were those temples destroyed and others resurrected, some commissioned and some uncommissioned? Grish, go ahead please.
एंड ऑल्सो यश, ये आप जो सोर्सेज बता रहे थे, प्लीज एक बार चैट में ये बुक डाल दीजिए या जो भी रिकॉर्ड्स थे, एक बार प्लीज अगर आप चैट में डाल दें तो.
हाँ, वो
छावा
मैं डाल
छावा
देता हूँ. यश
छावा
आप
छावा
डाल
डाल दो.
दीजिए,
I
वो
have to
दक्कन
answer
वाला
that
डाल
actually.
दीजिए.
I hope there
आई
is no
आई
noise
कैन.
coming from the background, right? Or is
No, no,
there?
it's fine. It's fine.
Okay. Actually, so there are there's some works, that is Masiri Alamgiri. Masiri Alamgiri does identify as the temples of Mathura and the temples of Kashi especially, that these regions were actually the places of the irreligious people, or the Kafirs as the rhetoric goes, that the Kafirs were actually the ones who were propagating, and the Brahmins especially. Yes, that the Brahmins were the ones who were propagating their ways and and the kind of occult stuff that they were doing, which was absolutely which was not acknowledged, or which was not acknowledged uh, something. They basically said that it was evil, right? They said that it was basically evil what the Brahmins were propagating in Kashi. So so they used the expression, I believe, the light of the world at the time. he ordered the destruction of the temples at this age and that age, and then uh, uh, what happened was that the temples were destroyed. However, modern, there are certain the Cambridge University history, that is the modern new Cambridge history of India, that identifies, I believe it is by Catherine B. Escher. Right, she is an archaeologist. She works mostly with architectural and art history, and she has mentioned that it is because these temples were constructed by Rajputs against whom he was in a conflict at the time. That is why Kashi and the temples in Kashi and Mathura were broken. I believe the same case would be with Somnath.
So there were, you're right, and there are various accounts of that, and some were also based on, I think, where there were people who were for example, one of the temples was destroyed because uh, Shivaji was helped to escape when he was imprisoned by um, Aurangzeb by some of
वही काशी विश्वनाथ है, वही काशी विश्वनाथ के लिए।
exactly Kashi Vishwanath wala. So it was a political reason to destroy that. वहाँ की जो clergy थी, I don't know if you have an English word for that or not for the Indian. Sorry if I'm using an incorrect word. They kind of supported a rebellion against him. So because they supported that, as a result, that temple was destroyed.
No,
So
no,
we need to keep
no,
that into account.
Shaji, you
This
know,
is one of the
Shaji,
theories.
लेकिन
No,
Shaji,
Shaji,
you see, Aurangzeb was also in conflict with Bijapur Sultanate, the Adil Shahis. Now, if that's the case, did he destroy any mosque in Deccan? No, he did not. So why would he only target the Hindu temples?
he
So
did
great.
destroy
Just
Hindu.
because he
You
is
He
in
did
did
conflict
that.
destroy
with
mosques in
Shivaji,
Deccan.
or he was
गिरीश
in
भाई,
conflict with some
What
Rajput
happened?
गिरीश
who
भाई,
believed.
One by one,
जो
Great,
one by
great.
one, please, one by one.
Yeah,
जो
yeah. Sorry.
जो टेम्पल
Okay,
टेम्पल
just
डिमोल
JCD, just 1 second, man. 1 second. So Grish, if you notice at that time, he took control of the mosques very, very directly. He changed the Qazi of the time. He took the Hanfiya stroke Sufiya
सोर्स
school of
सोर्स
thought and a source. I am telling you the source. It is mentioned in polls. It is mentioned by the same history book which uh, uh, basically just Yash told about. Not only that, that has been mentioned by Audrey Truschke as well in recent times. It is also in the story of India, which was written at the colonial times. So please, that is something which is not even contested. Not only that, till now at Medina University in Saudi Arabia, they mentioned that that he was one of the allies of the Hanafiyas, and he did not support any other sect. And when he was basically taking over from his father by force, like it is said, one of the reasons the Meccans did not let him in and did not seek his authority, because initially they thought that he's going to follow them, but he went the other way. So and the biggest source is Fatwa Alamgiri. Fatwa Alamgiri as a whole is a product of Alamgir in a concise form. That is what he produced. If you want to see what Islam was like at the time of Alamgir, he collected all the scholars of the time in the subcontinent and he made them write those fatwas and those recommendations of Islamic judiciary and all the outcomes. That in itself, being still used by the Hanafi school of thought, not just in the subcontinent, but also worldwide, is a proof in itself of what he did to the mosques at the time. Wrong or right, Just search Fatwa Alamgiri and you have your answer. You don't even need to go into other historians in terms of quotes. The literature is right in front of you. And one of the most used piece of literature, which happens to be there for the Muslims in India. Thank you very much.
Okay, I'm seeing someone targeting women in the chats. Uh, Yashvia, would you like to comment anything on that?
I wait. Who is doing that?
Somebody called Jija.
No reaction from Shazam. अच्छा, Mughals were not against Rajputs. Rajputs were related daughters to Mughals. ये किसने लिखा है? ये this is the person. No, why do you think that the Mughals were not against Rajputs? Do you think that the wars that
Maharaja
happened
Ajit
then
Singh
involved?
laughing from heaven.
हाँ नहीं नहीं वो ठीक है जो भी जगह है ठीक है. No, this is not something very this is not a very uncommon jibe. नहीं, this is mostly this is a actually this is an attack that is mostly propagated by the right wingers in India only. So yes. Hmm.
Acha, yes, you mentioned something very interesting earlier that he
In
got
fact,
rid of all
Aurangzeb
the.
was.
Carry on, Paritosh. मैं बाद
I
में
was
पूछता
just saying one thing that Aurangzeb was one of the most anti-Rajput Mughal emperors.
Yes,
So
if you can look up the
And that is
changes,
what
if you
actually
can
led to
look
his
up the
downfall.
changes in the Mughal, if you can look up the changes in the Mughal aristocracy and the polity, you will find that mostly it is the Rajputs who were Rajputs and the Persians among the Muslims. The Persians were removed and the Rajputs were removed. So and I might actually need some assistance here from Shahji. So are the Hanafi school are the Suhrawardiya order, the Chishtiya order, and I believe there are some other there are other orders as well. Also Hanafi, right?
Yeah, they can be, they coincide with that, but they don't necessarily have to be part of that. But yes, you're right.
Okay,
They're
okay.
also
So as far
right.
as India is considered, there historically there has been within the Muslims, the Hanafi order has been the most prominent historically, even before Aurangzeb.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. But the time when Aurangzeb came into power, that was a time when it was diluting in many ways as far as due to what is known as Deen Ilahi, and
No,
that
no,
was one of the main
Deen Ilahi
reasons.
actually died with Akbar only. Jahangir never supported Deen Ilahi, and even Shah Jahan never supported Deen
But
Ilahi.
Dara
Deen
Shikoh
Ilahi.
did,
Even
and if you look
no,
at
Dara
those,
Shikoh also did not support Deen
no,
Ilahi
no,
actually.
Dara Shikoh did. According to various accounts, he did. अगर आप simply उस time के historians को भी देखते हो, और recent even Audrey Truske mentions that in that time period, that was the main contention,
Audrey Trishke
and that is what.
mentions that Dara Shikoh was supporting Deen Ilahi because
Not
Deen
Deen
Ilahi
Ilahi,
essentially
but it
became
was a
extinct.
more plural, influential thing, and there was a lot
Ah,
of yeah, that was the case, yes, in that
so it was not
narrative.
exactly Deen Ilahi, right?
Well, it was a kind of related to that, and
I
that's what
mean,
it was referred to as. Because if you know, Deen-e Ilahi was a movement; it was never a religion, and its conception originally came from the concept
Akbar,
that
you know.
basically in the Quran that Ahl al-Kitab can basically be anyone who believes in a single God, and
Hmm.
that's where they were coming in from, and that whole campaign was not a separate religion. It was a campaign which expanded over the years through three dynasties,
So
sorry,
so
three generations.